Welcome everyone to the Better Love Movement podcast, where you will finally learn how to intentionally do dating and relationships right. My name is Anita Stoudemire, and I'm a licensed professional therapist and your personal love mentor. I've worked with thousands of singles and couples, giving them the skills needed to attract and keep the amazing love they desire. It's my heart's work to help people to get the skills needed to not only become the very best versions of themselves, but to help them grow and evolve emotionally and relationally. You can absolutely have the romantic relationship of your dreams. Come and let me show you how. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Better Love Movement podcast. This is episode 68, and we are doing this one for my couples. Last week, I spoke with Susan Winter, and we did that episode for my single ladies, but today I am focused on my couples. This episode is entitled Staying Connected. So today I am talking to Cullen and Elitia Mattox, husband and wife relationship coaches and co-founders of When Love Works. Their company is dedicated to disrupting the status quo of unhealthy relationships. They created the company they wish were available when they were finding their way through dating, raising children, and professional challenges. So as first clients of When Love Works, they know firsthand the importance of having the right tools to transform any dysfunction and getting right back to enjoying love and one another. They are also the co-hosts of the podcast, When Love Works. So welcome, Cullen and Elitia.
Thank you for having us.
Awesome. So we're going to have a great conversation today for our couples. Last week we focused on single ladies, but I am also a couples therapist, and so I hear all the time, how do we manage our relationship with all the other things we have to manage in our world and in our life? So this is going to be a really good conversation on how do couples stay connected, okay? So why is relationship health important to the both of you?
Well,
Go ahead.
Relationship health is so important. First of all, I just want to begin by saying this, that in underserved communities, we're disproportionately affected more so than other communities, and we because there's like a taboo for us to go get professional help and stuff like that, so we'll struggle, and most people struggle for like 6 years before they go do something about their relationship. So that's a big problem in our community, because almost everybody else will go get help.
Right.
So
We're usually the last to get help with physical conditions or injuries. We're usually the last to get help with mental stressors.
Right.
And again, when it comes to relationships, intimate relationships, we're the last to get help. Struggling for 6 years, we're like, no, we have to do something about that.
Right. So relationship health is as important as your physical health.
I agree, because think about it. We're all going to be in relationship of some type of some kind, and it affects us in all the other areas of our life.
Right.
So that's 100%.
Yeah.
So how do couples stay connected when they're raising a family? I hear this a lot, that once kids come into the picture, it creates this stress for your relationship.
You have to be intentional. You have to be intentional about it. It's not going to happen by itself. I'm going to use this metaphor. You think about the gym. And let's say you work out, and you say, I'm going to work out just on the top part of my body. You would be a person that's basically top heavy, but they can topple you over. It's the same thing. If you focused on your kids the entire time, your relationship love muscle is going to atrophy.
And we're very intentional about supporting people in relationship health around who they are and how they started. So if you and your partner, you found this great person you want to start a life with, and it's you too, don't lose sight of you too. So we really are, we really get honed in on what we call a relationship ecosystem. And whatever you want in that ecosystem, you're going to have to put in. Whatever, it won't be automatic. So even when we started the company, we were really intentional about when love works. Love is not automatic. It's a verb. So you're gonna have to put in some work. And we're not saying relationships have to be hard. Love is innate and love is an infinite resource.
Right.
But you have to be intentional about the work. Just like the analogy you use, baby, with the gym.
Yeah.
The muscle. People will not just become physically fit
Right.
overnight. No, you're gonna have to exert, put some force on that muscle for it to build. The same in relationships. And like if you are a couple and you pick the perfect person to do not perfect person, but the person to work perfectly with you, then we're saying get to work.
And you don't go to gym once and say you're done.
That's it.
So for their first birthday, if you two are focused on a young person's first birthday and you forget about you, celebrate your the young person's first birthday and your first year with them. Like go for every celebration you have for the young person, be intentional about including a celebration for you and your partner. That's one of the ways to stay connected. The second way we're thinking about is really purposeful outings. I know a lot of people are hype on the word date night. They could be date days. They could be in the middle of the day calls. Like really purposeful touch points is a second way to stay connected. We're really, really key on making sure you connect with the person that you chose to do life with at several opportunities. They don't have to be announced celebrations or stuff that society puts on a calendar. No, make purposeful connections to your partner.
Right. And so that's interesting you talk about the date night. In my practice, I call it CCT because you're right. For some of my couples who have younger children or a lot of children, that whole idea of date night is very scary to them because they're thinking, what? We're not going to have time to do that. And I encourage couples to do it once a week, like every week. You are, like you said, being intentional. So I call it CCT, and it's couples connection time. It can be a call. It can be cooking together. It can be sitting out on the back porch. It can be, I give them all these different options because I get it. You might have a lot of little kids at home or you're not able to go out and formally have a date night. But CCT should happen once a week, no less than 60 minutes.
That's right.
That is the requirement in my program, which is,
that's really
you need to on purpose, I have a couple now that I absolutely adore, an older couple, and their CCT is actually fixing things around the house together. And so they're like fixing things, talking, and I'm like, I love it. So much is getting done in that hour and a half, and they look forward to it. They're like, what are we gonna do next week? What's the project? So yes, you gotta do it on purpose. I totally agree. So tell me a little bit about you all's personal journey and how this helped you all.
Well, we grew up on, in terms of, this is metaphoric, I'm speaking, we grew up on opposite sides of the track. And I grew up a love millionaire, and my wife grew up in she, this is self-admitted, in I got some dysfunction.
Love poverty. Only because I had really normalized dysfunction. And if you are comfortable with dysfunction, then you are simultaneously uncomfortable in a healthy relationship.
So we had some, first of all, I must preface this by saying my wife is my hero because I grew up with so much love around me, and then I took it and moved it forward, and I feel like anytime you inherit something, you build on it, and that's what I did. And so my wife, when I took her hand, I asked her to believe in something that she had never seen before, and trust me to go to a land or a place where, I'm not trying to get too sappy with this, but I asked her to trust me with something that was very foreign to her. So there was, and I remember initially, I for a long time we were good, and then the sparks just kept happening, and that was very frustrating to me. And then that's when that analogy came to me. I'm like, look, I walked across the street to functionality. That's the only thing I've ever seen. I'm asking her to believe in something she's never seen. What did I expect? Did I not expect to see sparks? And so she trusted me. She came all the way. So we learned so much from that. I learned that what I inherited I would have to work to keep. And it was a blessing that was meant to be shared with other people. If you have capacity, you have additional capacity. It's meant to be shared with someone else.
That's good. I like it.
And people either they do one or two things with that extra capacity. They either use it to help someone else or they judge. Like, why are people doing that? Or why are people doing this? So we took each other's hand, and initially we had sparks, and there was sparks around where our differences were.
And that's what we call a pain gap, because again, Cullen is in love millionaire, love wealth, and I'm in love poverty. So for him it is a journey across the street, but for me it's a journey across the desert, over a mountain, through some valleys. And again, not to knock that I'm a horrible person, but I recognize that there was a difference. So we call that a pain gap, and that gap showed up and created some challenges, conflict for us. But again, our commitment to the relationship, and for me individually, I was already on a journey of, okay, I'm the common denominator in all of my unhealthy relationships. So Elitia, you have to do something different. So I was already doing the work of, like we say, we are our first clients. I was already doing the work of her toolbox with myself. I already had my therapist. I was already on my journey doing my work to really embody health in every area. So when I met him, I was like, oh, okay, yep, something I desire and deserve. But Cullen was very clear. Cullen was already doing his work, his toolbox, right? With his toolbox series. He had already done his toolbox, and he had already done a dating toolbox, right? So when I met him, he was very clear. He was like, yes, you may be doing your personal work, but you're not ready to be my girlfriend. And I was like, what you talking about? I've been married before. I'm on my journey. I'm my therapist, my toolbox. I'm putting in work. And he was like, well, actually, what you're calling a relationship is not healthy. So I was like, oh, okay. All right, so let's get on the same page. And we kept doing that almost every week, almost every day, to the point that When Love Works was really birthed out of us saying, wait, we have a difference in how we define this. Oh, wait, we have a difference in how we engage conflict. Oh, wait, we have a difference in, so let's close the pain gap. And so all of that really built the curricula for the work that we do in When Love Works. We were very clear on, we just have to continue to close gaps so we can minimize the time that we're not enjoying one another, that we're not enjoying love full out, because love is an infinite resource. We have it to give. And unfortunately in society, we see a lot of people judging the love they have to give, or saying, I don't want to exert this,
or measuring it out. Most of us operate like, most of what we've seen, and including us, we had to get past this being love cheapskates. We have an infinite supply of it, but you're measuring it out. And saying, and it's not uncommon for us to deal with our clients, and they're love accountants. They're like, well, I did that for her last week. I want to see what she's gonna do for me, And it's it was given freely to you.
That's right.
And we have this thing called love leadership, where we try to help people. You be the bigger person. This is all about, it's your love life.
That's it.
And all these we had to do first. Like the pain for Cullen was about, okay, I have this extra. What am I to do with it? Am I the judge and really just have this conflict with Elitia that's not getting it? Or am I going to be the love leader in that moment and start the transformation to close the gap? And then for me, it was really about, okay, I need to get clear on what health looks like and how to communicate. And that was pivotal for us. And so we decided to share this work because it helped us accelerate the process, really accelerate our dating process, and then accelerate the process to really having a strong ecosystem, because life was still coming. Children were still there. Professional life was still there. 3 children in the mix. Professional ups and downs in the mix. So we
in New York City.
In Manhattan, in Harlem. So we were like, we have to get this together, because our ecosystem has to be so tight, because life won't stop. That's very clear. We're very clear. Life won't stop. You're gonna have to do this work along the way. And so we say, okay, now let's share this, because we were able to really preserve our ecosystem in a way that's healthy and supportive of everyone around us. So let's share this, because again, like we started at the top, people of color especially we are the disproportionate. We just
it
don't
affects
get
us disproportionately.
It affects us. So we need to, if we get this right, then we can get so many other things right.
Oh yes, and I 100% agree with that. I tell clients all the time that none of us really went to a love university or a love class. I mean, we just took on the dysfunction.
Yes.
I think a lot of us.
Right.
And we then, kind of went into our relationships with it.
Yes.
Like no one got the proper education.
Nobody.
It's either trial and error, and again, the studies have shown, and we've done the studies.
Yep.
Across the United States, there are no universities doing this work.
Nope.
And less than 1%,
1%.
less than 1% really dedicated, like you said, to healthy relationships.
Out
So
of
we're like,
40,000 universities.
it's trial and error or passed down or what TV random places say. So we're like, enough already. Let's actually put in some tools and be intentional about how we create this love ecosystem, this relationship health, and then we can enjoy so much more in life. Because once you get those two things together, like those two people, nothing can stop you. I mean, it's a powerful couple.
That is so true. So I 100% am on board. I'd like to see you all grow this thing exponentially because we need it.
Oh,
we
yes.
need it.
Yes.
We are struggling.
Yeah.
And we know even in the last, I talk about this all the time on this show, is in the last maybe 10 years, we're seeing a lot of dysfunction in dating. We're seeing this hookup culture. It has now been clinically proven that this hookup culture is actually not good for your mental health.
It's not.
Like there's nothing cool about casual sex, making something so divine and to just, I just met you and we're gonna, that's not good for us. We have a loneliness epidemic, we got a lot of things going on, so we need this work now more than ever. People are really, really struggling. So I hope this thing like blows up all over the place because we do need it.
Yeah, the dating toolbox is one of our most popular because of that.
Right.
That's why Cullen and I did the most work and the most intense, I'll say, for me.
Right.
Because he was very clear on what dating should look like. A very short period of collecting intel, managing experiences, and having automatic chemistry. That's our first session out there in dating toolbox. Because we recognize that people are in a lot of different variations of situationships.
Right.
And again, like you pointed to, is in the long term, it's not healthy. It's not healthy.
It's not.
It's not.
I'm seeing more men and women. Men even coming in going, I just feel empty. I'm like, whoa, this is the problem. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And definitely women. I feel empty. This is not, I don't feel fulfilled by this. And I'm not getting any closer to finding the person I want to spend my life with. And I'm like, So I just shut it down. I say, okay, well, we're going to stop that. We're going to take a breather and do some work because, don't keep going in that direction. It's not healthy.
Yeah.
Well, the absence of, we'll go back to what we said about the way it's structured. Here in the United States, we have those 40,000 universities, and less than 1% dealing with this. With the absence of messaging, people are gonna inject their own messaging, and it's gonna come from like family members. There's probably that came at their knowledge the same way that you did. So if there's dysfunction, you're gonna inherit that dysfunction, and then there's gonna be there's Hollywood, and then there's and popular culture, whatever they're saying in popular culture, which their job is to sell magazines, sell books, sell merch. I understand. I'm not hating on that, but I'm gonna tell you like this: it's a failure when it comes to messaging for us, and it's gonna and so most of the people are sending a tailspin. These are good people that are making that are just that are lost and or they're just stuff happening, all kind of stuff happening in their blind side, and they just don't know what it is. And we got tired of seeing. This is what broke our heart. We got tired of seeing people who had amazing chemistry and had a great future with each other have to split because they didn't have the tools.
That is heartbreaking.
And are you gonna tell me? Are you gonna tell me that a college education? Yeah, I get it. A college education is important for your career and your career trajectory. Are you gonna tell me that's any more important than your marriage?
That's right.
Your relationships?
That's right.
But we don't get that. But it's still we don't get that training.
So heartbreaking.
It
And the second part of it is when people are together for long periods of time and then they just get into a rut and don't know how to get out and then they separate or they coexist in a rut. That's even hurtful too, because we know there are a lot of marriages where our domestic partnerships, common law, whatever you want to call it, where a lot of people are just suffering and just racking up years and months together and they're not loving full out, they're not living full out. That is so painful. It's painful to us, and we're like, enough already. There's so much to life, so much love. Oh my goodness, it's so much out here, and we just are heartbroken by the people that either stay together and just say, I'm just gonna deal with this, or the people that have to separate because they really don't have the tools. I mean, if you've been together for this amount of time and you really love the person, you have the chemistry, and this one thing keeps tripping you up. That's one thing. Don't throw the whole thing away. And a lot of people too, we have to help them reframe. Like even in your work, getting support. It doesn't mean it's broken. You are a good person, but get some tools and get right back out there. It's like a pit stop.
And the joy is there to be had.
It sure is. I agree. And I tell my clients that I want everyone to have big love. That's the love I want, right? I don't want the little love. I don't want the mediocre love. I want the big, real deal. I want the deep intimacy.
If you're gonna do it,
that's it.
Do it big.
That's what I tell people. Now that takes courage. It's going to take courage.
Our foundational quote.
That's it.
Love and fear cannot coexist.
That's it. See, well, I 100% co-sign already. Because I know that it takes courage. It takes courage to break out of some bad habits, some patterns you have. It takes courage to lead, like you said, sometimes with love. That's it. That's it. So if you don't get anything else from this episode, for sure, everything we talked about, but be brave. Be brave. If that's required to have that big, true love. It really, really is. So I just want to thank you so much for being on the show today and sharing all of your wisdom and knowledge. Tell us a little bit about a service or something you want to promote on the show today. Tell our listeners about it.
Definitely visit our website, the upcoming section for all of our toolboxes. We offer her toolbox, his toolbox, dating toolbox, and couples toolbox. If you are in New York City or near New York City, we have the Love Works conference that we're partnering with Love Inc., writing vows and love letters, and Shanae, a personal chef to New York's radio personalities on a taste experience catered meal, a whole fun day at the Love Works conference. And if you want to hear more of Cullen and I voice, just find our podcast. We're on everywhere you listen to podcasts, When Love Works podcast, and join us in this journey. Find us on Patreon. And enjoy the work, because we have work to do. And if I can do the work, and if Cullen can do the work, you can too.
Yes.
And then where can we find you on social media? The way we do it here is I really encourage my listeners and my followers to follow everyone that comes on this show.
The Instagram.
Yep.
It's When Love Works. I don't know.
When Love Works on Instagram. When Love Works Coaching on Facebook. Follow us.
Awesome. This has been a wonderful conversation. Thank you again for being on the show. I want to promote an event that I have coming up here live February 15th. We have our first ever Lock and Key event for Valentine's Day. It's our singles event. So if you are here in Richmond, Virginia on February 15th from 6 to 8 o'clock p.m., tickets are on Eventbrite. If you use the coupon code HEART10, you can get $10 off of your ticket. We're going to have an amazing time, food, drinks, music, lots of prizes. 3 blind date couples will win a fabulous all-expense date out somewhere really fun here in Richmond. So if you are here, please check it out. I'm so excited for this first event, but a little nervous, so we'll see what happens. If you are not subscribed to the podcast or the YouTube channel, please do so now, and please give me your 5-star review. I so appreciate those 5-star reviews. Thank you so much for listening, and as always, stay open to love. Thank you for listening to today's podcast episode. If you are enjoying this podcast, please leave me a 5-star rating and review. Your ratings and reviews help me to continue to bring you more great content. Head on over to YouTube and check out the Better Love Movement channel. There's more video content there, and you can subscribe to be notified when a new video is posted. If you have a question that you would like to have answered on the podcast or in a YouTube video, please send it to me at info@betterlovemovement.com. You can also connect with me directly on the Magnify app to have your dating and relationship questions answered. That's MAGNIFI, and it's available on iOS and Android. You get your first 5 minutes for free. So give me a call and let's chat.